What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cat and Beats, and welcome to episode 4, where we're going to be mixing and mastering in the box. And this time, we're going to go over the chord stack. All right, so last time we left off, we made sure that the bass fit well together, and now we have a whole stack of lovely goodies of an upper layer, a main layer, a mad layer, a low layer, and it all sounds like this together. Now that's all right. It doesn't sound too bad, but it would be great if we could get that to sound a little bit more with the track. As in, right now the chords are like boop 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 boop. So there's different filters moving at a different time, and it sounds like trying very hard, but at the same time it's not really where it needs to be. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete everything, because as soon as you see this kind of stuff, or if you're one of those people that does way too much stuff, then you kind of know that it's gonna be all over the place and not nice sounding. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete every single thing from all this stuff, because it makes little to no sense to have it. And instead we're gonna start layering the way that you normally layer. So we're gonna basically rethink everything that's been done. So the way I prefer layering is to make sure that the main layer is going to sound as good as possible, and then I'm going to decide if we actually need any of the other layers to begin with. Because most of the time, the main layer in a chord stack is going to be, well, having the upper, lower, middle, everything already there. After that, we will go over the other layers, but as long as we get this one absolutely perfect, then most likely we don't need any of the other layers. So let's just turn off the other layers to begin with, and then we're going to be a lot more chilled out about everything. Okay, so we remember what it sounded like before. Let's just listen to this by itself. A little bit more volume, please. So let's make that sound a little bit better. I'm going to just unfreeze this track. And let's have a little look at just the MIDI to begin with. As you can see, everything is played at a different time again. And because in Serum, the LFO, which is going up and down, is played with a trigger, all these sounds are going to be in all these different LFO times. So that's just not going to work. So the first thing we're going to do is just make sure that everything plays at the same time. Just Command-Shift-A, Command-Shift-U, and press OK. Now, every little note here is going to be played exactly onto the grid the way we want, because then the LFO is going to be able to also function normally. Okay, it's sounding a little bit better, but at the same time, kind of crap. So let's just take this EQ that's on here. We'll just pop it on the main layer over there. And let's just go into Serum and fix a couple of things. The first thing I want to fix is I don't want to have any reverb directly onto the channel, because it doesn't sound that good. And for the rest, I think I'm going to turn off this hyperdimension thing, the phaser. Don't really need that. And the compressor, we'll leave that on because it's part of the sound. Okay. So now that we have this, let's just go in here for a second and turn off the LFO completely. So I'm just going to open that up and just go boop, don't need it. So that we have the actual total sound playing back. I'm going to also go into Serum really quick and make sure to go to the global section. Somebody told me that if you adjust this width, then we're going to be able to have a more narrow sound, because right now it's extremely wide. So let's just check out Ozone Imager and see if we have any phasing going on, and most likely we do. Yeah, so when you have this little dot here and it goes 0 or below, we are basically phasing, and the sound will be very loud on the side and then not that much in the middle. So we're going to change that by going into this width knob and making sure that it's not that. So let's just put it onto 40, both of them. Ah, perfect. See, so now it's over there. I'm happy with that because at least when it's played back in mono, it's going to sound okay. So let's just turn Serum off and let's have a look at why this EQ has this cut in it. I'm going to actually leave that cut off, maybe a little bit less, because it kind of has that top end image that he was so desperately trying to go for. Let's just cut this low end out as well. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Let's just cut it a little bit deeper. So now we have like a total sound there. Let's try to put this meh layer in because I noticed that there's the same chord. So let's just have a little look over there what that does. And let's just add this in. And turn this off for a second. And let's have a listen to this. Okay, so this is like a side reverb information thingy-majig. I think that sounds okay. Maybe we don't need it, but maybe we do. Let's just open this up completely. Let's have a listen here, and let's put this together on the thingy-majig, on the grid. That's actually pretty cool to have. Let's just check this out. So let's just, instead of calling this the meh layer or the darker layer, let's just call this the wide layer. And that will be for people that have, you know, stereo speakers. So that's actually kind of nice to have. So we'll just layer that in via just volume and the EQ. Oh God, there's the same weird thing again. Let's just check out what that is. Okay, we can turn that off. Okay, cool. I think this sounds all right. Let's check out what the upper layer is and if that then adds anything to begin with. I think there's already a lot of information in the top. To be really honest, I don't think we need this. Well, we could potentially put that in the middle so we can mono that. Let's just unfreeze this track. And what we'll do is go to the global section and just, actually, we'll go to the oscillator section and just make it a lot less voices. And then we have mono. I think that sounds all right by itself. There's no real reason to put anything else in there. I'll leave the effects with the reverbs on because it's like a high pee type of sound, and when you have a reverb directly on it, it will push that sound backwards. But again, let's just make sure that everybody plays on the beat. Okay. Then we have a lower layer as well. I don't think we need that at all, so I'm just going to turn that red. And the reason why I'm deciding to just say no to that layer is because we already have a bass layer that is playing that area to begin with. Anyway, so now that we have these three layers working together without a million reverbs and things like that, let's just have a little listen to it and try to get it to sound right. And the only thing we're going to be using is volume. Okay, I don't really like this top area here. Kind of sounds like ass, but okay, we'll keep it anyway. Wide layer, let's try to get that top from this, well, this layer sounded a little bit weird, so let's try to get that in there instead. Okay, now let's try to get this one in. I don't feel like I'm missing anything, but we can just pop it in just to see. Okay, so everything sounds pretty good so far. It's actually a lot less processing makes it sound better, which is most of the time always the case. So now let's take out the boots and cats and make sure that the same LFO shape is on the harmonics or the chord stack. There we go. And let's turn off the auto filter for a second. And let's put that with the bass. We can actually put in the auto filter as well, just to have a little listen. I think what I'll do is just adjust the auto filter frequency range so it doesn't go all the way down. We can do that by clicking on that little menu button there. And right now it's really, really chopped. So I'll use the room reverb that's already set up and going into the drum room. And we're just going to push into that so it has a little bit more space to breathe. And that's it. So that's tight as snot. I'll just leave that the way that is for now. I think what I'll do is just an EQ afterwards, because now I'll see this chord stack as actually one whole thing. And let's have a quick little listen in mono as well, because I am a little bit curious to see how this song is translating to mono. Seeing it is one of those tracks that is played in a smaller club, I want to just double check. So we're going to have to push the mono a little bit. So let's do a tiny little bit of mid-side EQing. Let's do mid. And then in the mid, I'll just push the mid up. And then the side, I'm going to just turn that down just a tad. Okay, and I'm doing it in the 1K area because that's the area that's going to probably matter most, because this is where our ears are quite sensitive. I might change this mid-side EQ around and just use a mid-side controller, but for now, I think that will be okay to have a little bit of a more balanced sound in mono as well. I think that is literally it for the chord stack, because there's not really anything else is playing in the harmonics here, except for eventually we're going to have the vocals, which are going to have to fit in. So we're going to then have to move things around a little bit so that it sits perfectly. But overall, not too bad. It's thick. It sounds good. Not too bad. Okay, see you guys next week.